On more than a few occasions, I never saw it coming because there were no signs or signals, for example, second glances, already caught staring, wanting to be near me, etc. Then just out of nowhere, I was caught off guard. Story 1. When I got in really good shape, I've definitely had women smile at me and hold their gaze. I've also seen women talk about how attractive a guy is, and when he walks by, it looks like they didn't even notice he existed. It's all over the place. Story 2. Some hide it well. Some of us are also highly oblivious. Sometimes it's a mix of both. Alas, I almost never notice unless it's quite over the top. Yeah, I have a woman friend who can very well tell when some other woman is interested in me or not, and most of the time I'll be entirely unable to tell the difference. Story 3. In my entire old man life, no woman has expressed obvious attraction towards me. If they indeed were interested, they all gave Oscar-winning performances of indifference. Story 4. When you're too forward, you fear not only rejection but also being judged as desperate for showing attraction. So it's a delicate dance of showing enough interest so he picks up on it and acts, while not coming off too strong or in a way that is socially frowned upon. We're also told, "Girl, go get your man." But it's also nice to be pursued, yet men are reluctant to pursue because they don't want to be considered a creep or something similar. It's not about hiding. It's self-protection, and men do it too. It's difficult for everyone. Story 5. It's also jarring because I remember being between the ages of 15 and 20, and at the time it was super obvious when a girl liked you or your friends. All the signs were there, including straight up saying it to your face or to people you knew so that it would get to you via the grapevine. I wonder if it is just an age thing or maybe something specific to Generation Y at that time. Maybe we will never know. All I know is that it is beyond impossible for guys my age to tell now. I certainly don't experience it now that I'm married, gray, and a lot heavier. Haha. Story 6. I can't tell. And the times I thought I was right, I was wrong. Of course, you are posting this question on Ask Men, and your question was about how do women hide it so well. We don't know. Story 7. Women are covert communicators. Men are overt communicators. From a biological survival perspective, it makes sense, being the weaker gender physically. Women have always had to be more cautious with their words and actions because they face harsher consequences if those words and actions fail them. Whereas men have always had sheer physicality to fall back on if their words and actions fail. Story 8. As a man, I just assume no one is interested in me ever. When I'm out in public, I keep my eyes on the ground. I don't hold doors or do anything that could be misconstrued as something it's not. It's just easier that way. Story 9. Because we are mostly clueless. B. Because they do not show attraction the same way guys do. And we are looking for them to act like we do and not how they actually do. Story 10. We are very good at denying ourselves, pretending to not be interested because we think it will be beneficial in the long run. It is the overthinking that keeps us preoccupied. Story 11. It's two things compounded. It's not the fact that they hide it, it's the fact that you don't notice. At all. Men are not good at catching subtle signs. They need people to be direct. There is a reason there are jokes everywhere, for example, about how a guy isn't sure if a girl is interested in him while she is undressed sitting on him. Women say they give signs, are super obvious, etc. Then you ask what sign they gave, and she says, "I glanced in your direction for 5 seconds. Can't be more obvious than that." Women tend to be too subtle, and that doesn't work very well with what I mentioned in the first point. They avoid risks, so they do things that could be taken in different ways. Add to that the fact that sometimes different women give the exact same sign, and one responds, "Why are you talking to me?" while the other says, "Why didn't you talk to me earlier if I was showing interest?" You have to be an expert in psychological operations out there. Story 12. Men are just oblivious to the fact because women think we can read their minds, which in turn, no, we can't. We literally need you to point and be like, "Hey, I like you." It's that simple, but women will never understand this. Story 13. Women are very good at hiding their attention and their intentions. Sometimes, if they just cannot wait any longer or if she finds another woman eyeing the same man, then they will do something so obvious you just cannot miss. But normally the guy eventually catches on. Even though nowadays some ladies like to make the approach, I still think most women like to be chased, desired, and sought after by a man. In my opinion, it is just handed down from hunter-gatherer times and feels natural for the man to hunt down his mate. Story 14, apparently they don't, and we are just oblivious. Either that, or women have been basically trained by popular culture and strange friend advice to have their attraction be as indirect as possible. There's also something about the 80-20 split when it comes to modern dating, if you believe that. Story 15. I don't think it's hidden so much as women like that don't really care to let you in on it. It's entirely a personal decision for them, and they will bring you in at their leisure for their pleasure, when and if they decide they want to go through with anything. Unless she knows and cares about you, she just wants a warm body with a man that won't hold on too tight when she walks away from them. Story 16. Women rarely take the risk of rejection. Therefore, they are less likely to give off strong signals. They play it safe in the zone of plausible deniability. The problem is that harsh rejection of men in public has made them uninterested in approaching nowadays, so both sides lose. Story 17. Evidently, we, as men, are born with the intuitive ability to detect social and emotional cues, much like knowing how to read sign language or body language right from birth. Source: I made it up. Ladies, for goodness sake, just say so. Story 18. Because many or most women value being desired or being pursued, not the other way around. Their worth is tied up in how much a man is willing to do, how far he is willing to go, and so on, in order to earn her. If a woman makes the first move, it ruins it for a lot of them. Not all, obviously. It is why they do not usually initiate sex as well. Most husbands spend a lot of time in their marriages saying, "If you wanted me to do something, why would not you just ask?" Only for the wife to respond, "I should not have to. It is your job, dear sir, to read her mind." Story 19. You could argue it is because most women want the man to make the first move, as is socially expected. You could also argue that it is because women have to be careful. Story 20. In relationships, particularly, women can be indirect, sometimes painfully so. The subtleties they view as obvious might be the smallest things that we would not notice. I never saw it coming because there were no signs or signals, for example, second glances. This is the thing. There were no signs or signals to you. To her, it was the bat signal. It's easy to fool someone when they, meaning us men, do not speak the language very well or at all. For the record, I loathe subtle hint dropping as I see it as a waste of time and it creates opportunities for confusion and missed chances. But sadly, the situation is what it is, always. Story 21. Other women can tell when a woman is into a guy from afar, so I really think there are a lot of guys who just don't notice, haha. There's more assessing and weighing of risk from the woman's perspective, which takes longer. I feel like men are much more willing to dive right in, even if they don't know them that well. Story 22. Sometimes we're just actively trying not to look too much into things. Just before my wife and I got together, she was in another relationship. We had been close platonic friends for years, and I was staying at her parents' place for my holiday. After about a week at their place, I went on a little road trip to Edinburgh to visit some friends I had up there. In the meantime, against all reason, I was crushing hard and trying very hard not to make my feelings her problem. A week passes, friends were visited, fun was had. I returned to her parents' place. We do the regular things until in the evening she suddenly professes her love to me, climbs on top of me, and tries to kiss me. I barely manage to stammer out a "you sure?" mostly to test whether or not I'm dreaming, and the rest is history. As it turned out, I wasn't the only one who was crushing hard, and in one of the fastest examples of absence making the heart grow fonder, she made a few decisions about her relationship. As it happened, the one she had was not going as well as I had been privy to. Story 23. Wouldn't this question be better suited to ask women? Asking men why women do or don't do something usually ends up with a lot of off-base guesses. Story 24. I think it's an interpretation issue. I think men expect the signals to be far more obvious, whereas women tend to think they are being more obvious to the guy than they actually are. I say this because of the number of times my wife has mentioned noticing all these things that I was completely oblivious to. Obviously, I'm generalizing, but it seems to be a general rule that women are far better at picking up signals from other women than men are. Story 25. As a woman, I give the guy I like subtle hints, for example, giving him food, being near him, making casual conversation to make him comfortable around me, showing mutual interest in what he talks about, because in my experience, when I was too forward with men, they got turned off quickly. I think they perceive it as desperate or masculine, and in my experience, guys like to be the ones making the first move. Story 26. Because of poor societal conditioning, all these fake rules have come out, probably made by other women, which have primarily been successful in holding women back from fulfilling relationships. Story 27. As a woman, I can tell all you men that we completely notice you before you notice us, and we will place ourselves in your path manipulatively. We are brain ninjas. Story 28. I think the why is more important than the how. Men have psychologically evolved to more likely interpret signals from women as flirting, and that is dangerous for women who want to do as much reconnaissance on a guy as possible. What we have nowadays is that when women are attracted to a guy, they will make eye contact, smile, flip their hair, laugh at men's jokes, etc. But when men are attracted to women, they approach women, ask for their number, ask to buy them a drink, ask them to dance, very forward stuff. If a woman was that assertive, then the man would not think that the woman is trying to get to know them better. The guy will think that the girl is trying to get in bed with them, and that is not it at all. But women have to be pickier with who they sleep with because they are the ones that get pregnant, and the guy is the one that can walk out. So the dilemma of wanting to flirt for information, when men would look for any justification to think a girl wants to sleep with them, results in women being very subtle in their flirting. The solution: if you are a guy, stop expecting sex on the first encounter, or kissing, or any kind of romance. Give the girl a chance to know you better than your looks or any kind of physicality. The more that girls find out about a guy, the more comfortable they will be to flirt back. Story 29. Women are not attracted to as many men as the other way around. For those they are attracted to, the signs usually are not too hard to see. The original poster may have just encountered a few hardened worldly hearts. Story 30. Women don't hide. They just don't know how to express themselves because they fear rejection. Men can handle this rejection because a man has to pick up the slack for women. Otherwise, the species would die out. Story 31. They do not hide it, man. They are just passive about it and expect you to take action after they hint at their interest. I do not know why, but they will rarely ever approach you even if they are interested. In my experience, they would rather send one of their friends up to you to tell you to go talk to her. Story 32. They were signs, you just didn't pick up on them. We men are truly clueless when it comes to that. Read about body language books like real study books about the topic and you'll start spotting those instances. Story 33. If online studies are to be believed, they really think that the majority of men are unattractive. Something about you must have changed for her to suddenly be attracted to you. Story 34. I can only speak for myself, but I'll start by saying I am rarely attracted to a man at all. The last man I was attracted to was my ex, and we broke up 3 years ago. So it's not that I'm hiding anything. I'm most likely genuinely not attracted to you. On the rare occasion that I am attracted to a guy, there are different types of attraction. First, passing physical interest. This is what happens when I meet someone who is attractive, but whom I don't know at all. I will likely look at them more than normal, but that's it. I won't make it obvious because I don't know you, so I'm not going to approach a random stranger just because I think they're attractive, for my own safety. Second, a crush. This is when I know you casually in, say, a school or work environment. I find you attractive physically and am interested in getting to know you better. I won't make it obvious at this phase because 1, I don't want to make the dynamic weird at work or school, and 2, I want to find out more about you before I decide if it's worth making a move. At this stage, I know I like you a little bit, but I don't yet know if you have any disqualifying red flags, so I'm able to keep a lid on my feelings. I would much rather get to know you under the pretense of platonic friendship than showing my hand too early. Again, mostly for my own safety. Finally, full-on attraction. For me, this only develops after I've gotten to know you for a while, and I like both your physical appearance and your personality. This is the point at which I will make some moves because I feel safe enough to do so. I have weighed the pros and cons and decided that it's worth the risk to put myself out there. Personally, at this stage, I am not subtle. I will go out of my way to bump into you, sit close to you, and touch you. I will give you my number, if you don't already have it, or have a friend tell you that I like you. I will call you attractive to your face, maybe even put your hands on my body. The signals are impossible to miss if I like you this much. Now, that being said, I have learned through a lot of heartache that being so forward is actually not to my advantage in the long run as a woman. I think it's pretty easy to see that generally, men will take what they can get when it comes to sex and romance. If I make myself too easy to get, they will settle for me, even if they don't really want me. This has been a real issue in past relationships. I always had this lingering feeling that my partner didn't actually like me that much. I was just the easy option. I never felt like he chose me to the same extent that I chose him because he didn't. It was not a balanced relationship. If I'm ever attracted to another man again, I will not be taking such a forward approach. If you, as a man, are so afraid of rejection that you can't summon the courage to ask me out, then we aren't a good match anyway. Rejection sucks, but it's just a feeling. Taking the chance and approaching me, knowing that I very well might say no, tells me that you have the courage to be a good protector and partner. It shows me that you have mastery over your emotions. I have done a lot of work around desensitizing myself to rejection, and I expect the same from a male partner. Some of you let it completely run your life, though. Talk about a turnoff.